What's up guys, we're back again with a fresh new video, and in today's video I want to share my journey with high ticket sales. I figured that I've actually never done this on this YouTube channel before, so the way this video is going to go is very simple. Here is all the content for the video because this might be my longest one to date, but feel free to skip ahead. But I highly suggest that you go through this entire video and listen carefully, especially if you are new to the sales industry, right? Well, the high ticket sales industry. And a lot of these terms and terminology or methods may be completely new to you. You need to go through this video very carefully because it can save you a lot of time and a lot of headache. And a lot of the strategies that are broken down in this video are inspired by my mentor, Connor Healy. So I really hope you guys sit back, enjoy this video, and take these lessons in. Understand where you can avoid making the same mistakes I made a couple of months ago. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video.
Sabelo.
There, Connor, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I just want to introduce myself. It's my first call. I just saw your message now on the Discord, so I decided to hop in. First question is around landing an actual role. So we've done the sales training through the videos that Jack's put out, and we've seen other YouTube videos, but now where I'm stuck is that I do most of my outreach through Instagram, and I 70% of the time land interviews, but in every single call, they've asked me for my numbers. And every time I say I don't have experience, they immediately shut out.
First thing is a limiting belief that I guess a lot of people really kind of need to get out of their mind is that no experience doesn't mean that you won't be able to land jobs, right? It's just not real, right? Does it mean that some people won't hire you? Yes. Does that mean all people? No. I've seen guys, a lot of my guys I coach one-on-one, land roles out of hundreds of applicants with no experience. So I kind of want to abolish that belief now. And secondly, it is very much on how you interview and how you portray yourself and how you frame yourself that allows you to kind of get access to these communities and close them. Your interviewing skills are just as important as your ability to actually get interviews in the first place. An interview, in actual reality, is a sales call for your own business, your sales agency. You have one salesperson for hire, that is you, right? And so you need to treat it the same as in interviews are sales calls to your business. How you generate them is your marketing. And how you fulfill for them is you actually being good at sales.
And this is exactly what Connor was trying to communicate with me. He was trying to say that no experience doesn't mean you can't get a job, right? And it's simply just a limiting belief. And this is something that I actually had to think about deeply. I thought to myself, Sabelo, everyone who's actually started out in the sales industry at some point didn't have experience. So they had to get that experience somehow and use that as a part of their resume when they're applying for different jobs. So it just, quite simply, is just a limiting belief. And then the next thing I learned is that this is why you need a mentor, because they've walked the struggle. They've faced the same battles that you're facing, and they're going to give you tips and tricks on how you can overcome them without creating so much pain for yourself. And it's in that Connor actually taught me that you need to treat yourself like a business. If you're a sales professional, you need to actually treat yourself like a business. All variables, sales, marketing, copywriting, right? This comes down to your online image, having a personal brand, posting content, and actually building that trust with people online so that companies can see that you're actually not just some random person claiming to be like a sales expert, right? Having a personal brand can give you the leverage that you need and help you stand out in interviews.
Anna, how you doing?
Doing well, brother. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. Just following our conversation from last week, I started doing most of my outreach through LinkedIn because I'd already built quite a strong profile. So what I ended up doing was searching for companies and seeing their employees and then going on to message them. So that's exactly what I did. I'm having trouble finding the actual jobs because every time I type in remote sales or appointment setting on LinkedIn, it's like normal sale jobs, like the car sales. I can't refine the search tab to get specific appointment setting roles. So that's just something that I've been struggling with.
Yep. So there's a couple reasons why number one, you're not getting the responses that you need or want, and you can't find the jobs that they're looking for. So there's a lot to unpack there. So if you're not getting the responses that you want, number one, lack of profile content. So you're lacking trust from your profile. So it's not built up enough. It doesn't look professional enough. Whatever it is, it could be your profile picture. It could be your cover photo. It could be the lack of content. It could be a mixture of things, right? The next one is going to be tweak and test different variations of your message, right? So sometimes if your response rate isn't very good in the DMs, well, it can be because of your message. And so you can simply just tweak, test, and optimize your message to get better responses. You can change different words. You can change different approaches. That's the next step that I would assess for a low response rate.
Look, I wasn't asking the right questions. It's quite clear. This is a big struggle that I had. And Connor had to, again, revert back to treating yourself like a business, right? When you're analyzing your competition, what's the most common thing that you could do, especially in the online space? You can revert back to platforms or softwares, platforms like YouTube, right? Business coaches will always post testimonials. If you go on a testimonial page, you can see the different clients that business owners have worked with. There in itself is different businesses that you can actually work with. In fact, let me try and pull this up on my screen so you guys can see. This is what I'm talking about. So if you look on any business owner's testimonial page, you'll see that they actually have client success stories. Go through this list yourself and actually find businesses that are coming up or businesses that are really high and established. And then that way you can find the right companies to reach out for.
And then the one person who I messaged, this was a while back before you suggested using Facebook. When I was reaching out through LinkedIn, for example, one of the sales reps that works for, she asked me to email my resume, and I was just going to ask you, since I don't have experience, what exactly do I put on my resume?
What you've done in the past.
But that's like none of it is related to sales.
Fine. It's still going to be ideal, but it's like, what else are you going to put on there? Nothing, right? So you either submit a resume with nothing, no sales experience on it, or you submit a resume with no sales experience on it. That's literally it. Like you just have to submit a resume. If you don't have sales experience on it, well, that's fine. You can highlight that again, like you don't have experience. But this is why networking is so important, because when you can get your foot in the door on an interview, that's when you can actually influence decisions.
So yeah, don't lie. Don't lie in your resume. If you genuinely have no experience, that's okay, but just communicate that. Don't lie and say you've done something if you haven't. Luckily for my position, I didn't realize this, but I was a club promoter, right? In my first year of university, I was a club promoter. I worked for Loose Days, and in that job itself, I did door-to-door sales because I had to sell nighttime-based events. That in itself is still sales. It may not be high-ticket sales or be relevant to high-ticket sales, but I can at least say to the person who's, conducting my interview that I've actually had some experience with sales, right? Door-to-door sales is difficult, and you're working with a very quick time frame. You need to sell the events like in a 30-second window. And I use that as leverage in order to have my first sales experience. And they took that and they, actually resonated with that. I was able to go back and forth speaking about my door-to-door experience. And from that, they were like, okay, this guy at least has some experience. It's not like he's just some complete newbie. And that helped me quite a lot.
Sabelo, what's going on, dude?
Hey, Connor, you're right.
Doing well, bro.
Yeah. Bit of news. Good news, actually. I am officially an appointment setter for so that's it's really good. Yeah.
Right. That's big, bro. That's
yeah. It was a very long and tedious process, but like I'm just very glad that like we finally here now. So I literally had my first day of training yesterday. The breakdown is that you have a 2-week training period, and it's paid for as well. So they pay $15 per hour, and then once you've done your 2 week, they call it like a probation period just to see your skill level, and and his team, they both trained me as well. Then after that 2-week probation period, they bumped it up to $18 per hour. And then, of course, with the compensation as well and the commission.
And that's a good thing, bro, because usually good companies have long vetting and interviewing processes.
So yes, the interview process was certainly long, but a great tip that I learned from Connor is that any company that has a long period or a long series of interviews means that they are vetting all their sales reps to the top tier. And that's a company that you'd like to be with ideally, because think about it, they're going to take their sales reps seriously because they're generating a lot of cash every single month. They want to make sure that all the new leads, let me go back. Let's say they're spending money on marketing, right? They're spending lots of money on marketing. They want to make sure that all these leads coming in, us as sales representatives can go through these leads properly, qualify them, and actually generate more cash for the business.
So Connor,
Mr. Sabelo, how are we?
good things in yourself?
Doing well. Give me some updates on your offer. What's been going on?
So, it's been quite intense the past 2 weeks. That it's very interesting to see the back end of how these info products and the actual company, like 8-figure company structures, are laid down. It's so intense. I didn't realize how much work is actually put into being not just the CEO, but managing a big team. So, yeah. I don't know. You also learned something like that when you first got started with your first role.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Absolutely. I remember when I worked for my first 8-figure offer, the guy was intense, very intense dude. He spent $15,000 a day on YouTube ads.
15,000.
Yeah, a day.
My.
Yeah, as that guy plays at a higher level, and yeah, so 8 figures a month. 8 figures a year, and doing over $1 million a month. And yeah, very, very interesting interaction with the guy. The back end structures, operations, everything is just super dialed, super very, very, very he's a previous doctor.
Going into that environment while working with an 8-figure brand was extremely intense. When I tell you, from the time the CEO woke up to the time they had their sales meetings, did their SOPs for the day, it was really intense. And for someone who's new to the space, it was quite overwhelming in the beginning. But after 2 weeks, I was able to get used to the whole process, but just understand that when you're entering a new space, you need to learn as quickly as possible. I had no clue about CRMs. I'd never used one before, so the company had its own CRM, and I just had to quickly learn how to use it. I'd never used other CRMs like Close before, or I had never used Slack before, right? A software as simple as Slack. I'd never used that before. So I had to really get quick at understanding those communication channels and those different softwares. So if you are a beginner, if you can at least try and familiarize yourself with those different softwares and different CRMs, it's going to help you a great ton, because in the interview, you could even sell yourself and say, look, I've used CRMs such as Close before, or I don't think HubSpot would work, but you can say you've used platforms like Salesforce, or, just some CRMs that are relevant to your current position, whether you're in B2B or B2C. And that way you can sell yourself even more. So that's a great tip for you guys. Another very interesting thing that I learned was that I'd never seen the back end for how online businesses operated, especially 8-figure ones, right? 8-figure ones, you're dealing with a huge team. To see the level of leadership within that organization was truly mind-blowing, because I realized that if the CEO slacked off, right, this is management at the top. If he slacked off, the next person slacked off. And it just creates a whole disruptional cycle. So if you're operating at a very high level as a business owner, I can imagine the type of struggle that you guys are facing, but they find enjoyment in doing that. But not to ramble on for too long, learn as much as possible while you're still new to all these positions, and I promise you it'll serve you in the long run.
Hey Connor, how are you?
Very well, my friend. How's your offer cranking?
So I've got good and bad news. Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
Yeah. So it was I believe it's been just over a week and a half, usual like Tuesday meeting. And he's like, yeah, guys, I have to break down the bad news. I'm going to have to let go of like a few people on the team. And he's like, before I do that, I need to explain why. He's like, so since our role was primarily on Instagram, he's like, obviously we're not pumping as much money into advertisements because they had like some issues with the Instagram account being blocked off and stuff like that. So the volume wasn't really coming in. And he's like, it doesn't really make sense for you to get on shift and then catch up the inbox and then you limit it to like send out like any more DMs. So there's no volume for you guys anyway. He's noticed that people have become very skeptical in the online space. Like even prior 6 months ago, it wasn't as difficult to get people onto like calls, no matter the advert. And he's like, what we've noticed is that a lot of the volume has slowed down, which means like decrease in sales and so forth. And he's like, as a result, I'm going to have to let go of like quite a few people. And I was like, quite a few. So then our manager was like, yeah, listen, I know it's not ideal, but we're going to have to do that. Then the next day I got a call from them and they were like, look, we're going to have to break the bad news. We're going to have to let you go. But since you're already like a part of the team, what we'll do is we'll use his business Rolodex or something, because he has like a lot of connections, and he's like, we'll plug you guys with new offers like immediately. So that was nice. That was nice. But I think at the time, like, I was really down because I was like, I did not expect this. It was like literally over the course of 2 days that this happened.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I don't know how, but at the very same time, 2 offers that I applied for long ago, way before I got that one, reached out and they were like, no, we don't know if you're still looking for a role, but we'd love to get you on an interview. And I was like, okay, now I'm just a bit like confused because I wasn't sure which direction to take. So basically, the team didn't get back to me about which business they're going to plug me in. So I was like, I need to like go forth and take control. And I got on both interviews and I got both jobs.
It's like a very good offer, bro. That's a very good opportunity.
Is it?
So yeah, after a couple of months, I got fired. And I'm not going to lie, it was rough. It was really rough. It was the first time I'd ever been let go from a position. I didn't know how to take it. It was a very emotional time for me. But luckily, at the same time, by the grace of God, I had a new opportunity. The same day I got fired, I had a new opportunity, which was like a new outbound setting position, which I'd never done before. But the lesson you can take away from this is that as a sales representative, especially in this high ticket space, always keep your options open, because you never know. You honestly never know when a company can turn around and say, listen, we're going to have to let go of a few people. And if you're only relying on that source of income for yourself, you're screwed. You have to keep your options open. And this is something that I had to learn the very hard way. But luckily I had a new opportunity as soon as I got fired. So it was okay. It worked out in my favor, but just always be prepared for that outcome. And what I found very interesting was what the CEO actually said. He said people are becoming increasingly skeptical and more aware of how these online businesses are operating. So the biggest takeaway I got from there was that the one thing that'll separate you from other people who are offering the same services or products as you is your personal brand. It's exactly what I'm doing now. I'm trying to grow my personal brand because it is the one way that people and customers can actually start building trust with you. So I would highly recommend, if you're a sales representative, in some way, shape or form, you need to have some documentation of your journey, whether that's through LinkedIn, whether that's through Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. So you guys need to start developing your personal brands because it'll just make you stand out in a much better way.
I can.
Yeah, sorry, I got cut off there. My laptop just died. But I wasn't sure if his name was Franco. He was asking about the networking strategies and about the whole value-driven ideology. I wanted to quickly throw something in there. I don't know if he's listening, but hopefully anyone else can say a thing or two. Yeah, one thing that really helped me out, brother, was posting on LinkedIn and Facebook, but not just posting any types of content, posting shareable, valuable content. The reason I did that was because when it came to networking and actually trying to build a relationship with other people, it's a lot easier to do that when you actually have something to talk about, other than you just alluding to the fact that you want an actual job. So say, for example, you are on LinkedIn and you post a screenshot, or you can even do this on Facebook. You post a screenshot about a recent role play that you did. You can literally title that as top 3 takeaways from this role play. That in itself is value that you can discuss with someone else. Someone else within the sales industry will understand the takeaways that you've mentioned in that specific post. That in itself is a conversation. Or you can take another photo about, even if we're doing a group interview like this, and say top 3 takeaways that I've learned from this Zoom call with my mentor. Number 1, share value with other people. Number 2, so forth and so forth. And when you start doing that over a long period of time, people can reach out to you with something to say. You're not just like talking to someone in the hopes of getting a job from them. If they can see that you actually someone of value, most of the time you're going to reach that stage where they'll ask you, by the way, my company's hiring and I'd love to throw your name in there. You're much more likely to reach that position quicker if you have something to share with other people. So if I were you right now, I would start doing that. Just start taking screenshots of any sale activity that you do, and take a screenshot and just write a short little post about the top takeaways that you've done, or any key message that you can share with someone else. Do that for the next 2 to 3 weeks, and I promise you, people will start reaching out to you, especially in the sales industry.
That's great, man. Thanks.
Exactly.
Thanks a lot.
So of course, working that second position that I had, which was an outbound calling role, I'd never actually done that before. It was actually really challenging. The first time I got on the phone and I actually had to set up an appointment properly, because my first role was a DM setting position. So this one was actually calling prospects and getting them booked onto a closer's calendar. It was actually tough. It was tough that first week. I remember dialing people. So KPI was either 200 dials a day or 3 appointments to set. And I remember calling people, and the first guy told me F off. He fully told me to just F off. And it was really difficult to navigate that first position. But in doing so, I was able to increase my communication skills drastically, because when you're on the phone dialing people every single day, it's a lot easier to find your errors, especially if you're working with someone on a team who can actually correct your mistakes. So working with that company, they had weekly meetings about twice a week, and you'd get to review your calls, and they could actually give me pinpoints on how I could improve those conversations. So if you are going to work with a company, reach out for support as much as possible. So where does that leave me now? I'm still, of course, within the industry, and naturally, as any sales representative who's going throughout the industry will naturally want to progress. So if you're looking at the industry as a whole, there's obviously at the bottom, we've got setters, right? So you've got your outbound, then you've got your DM setting, and then you've got triage, which is just a step above, from triage. And then you've got closer, and ideally you'd want to aim for that closing position, but you need to be realistic with where you are in terms of your skill set. So my next position, I'm obviously going to be going for the higher ranks because I have a bit more experience underneath my belt. But with that being said, if you're still new to the industry, get your foot in the door with appointment setting. I know this appointment setting does get somewhat of a bad rep. I don't know, people want to just go for the glorified closing position, but in all honesty, you can learn the fundamentals of how sales as a whole works by going through those appointment setting positions, and I highly encourage anyone to do the same. So if there are sales reps who are watching this video, just leave some comments in the comment section or shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'd love to have conversations about your sales journey, the stuff that you've learned. And if you'd like to reach out to Connor, I'll link his YouTube down below and his Instagram. Reach out to him. He's a phenomenal mentor, and get your foot in the door. Sales is a really tough industry. You need thick skin, and you're going to face a lot of failures and wins. But ultimately, it is the back end of all businesses, and you're learning an invaluable skill. So stick with it. When times feel tough, come back and watch this video. I was able to overcome failures, and I'm sure you guys can do the same thing. So I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. Take care, guys.